Europe has long been seen as a land of prosperity, strong economies, and high living standards. But in recent years, several European countries have been struggling with economic decline, political instability, and social challenges. From rising debt to population decline, these nations are facing serious problems that could change their futures forever. Today, we'll discuss 5 European countries that are falling, and the reasons behind their struggles. So let's start with our first country, which is Italy. One of Europe's largest economies, has been facing a serious economic crisis for years. The country has one of the highest debt to GDP ratios in the world, standing at around 140–150% of its GDP. This means Italy owes more money than it can easily pay back, leading to financial instability. But that's not the only problem. Italy has an aging population, with one of the lowest birth rates in Europe. More retirees and fewer workers mean less economic productivity and a rising burden on the government to support pensions and healthcare. Young Italians are leaving for better opportunities abroad, making the situation even worse. Additionally, Italy has a deeply bureaucratic system, which slows down business growth and innovation. High taxes and strict labor laws discourage investment, making it difficult for new businesses to thrive. Political instability has also become a major issue. In the last decade alone, Italy has had multiple governments collapse, making long-term reforms difficult to implement. Number 2. Greece. Greece was the center of the Eurozone debt crisis in 2010, and even though it has made some recovery, the country is still struggling. The Greek economy collapsed due to high government debt, corruption, and mismanagement. At its worst, unemployment reached 27%, and the country had to take massive loans from the European Union to stay afloat. Even today, Greece is heavily dependent on tourism, which makes it vulnerable to global events like recessions and pandemics. The economy has improved, but many Greeks still face low wages, high taxes, and a weak job market. Young professionals are leaving for better opportunities in Germany, the UK, and other European nations, leading to a brain drain that further weakens the country's future prospects. Another major issue is corruption. Greece has struggled with inefficiency and corruption in its government, preventing effective economic reforms. Unless drastic changes are made, Greece may continue to struggle for decades. Number 3. Spain. Spain was also hit hard by the 2008 financial crisis and, just like Greece, its economy hasn't fully recovered. One of Spain's biggest problems is high unemployment, especially among young people. Youth unemployment has been hovering around 25–30%, one of the highest rates in Europe. Another issue is political instability. Spain has faced multiple elections and changing governments, making it difficult to pass strong economic policies. The Catalonia independence movement has also caused major disruptions, affecting investor confidence. Spain's economy heavily relies on tourism, construction, and services, but these industries were hit hard during the COVID-19 pandemic. The lack of a strong industrial base means Spain is vulnerable to external economic shocks. Unless Spain finds ways to create sustainable jobs and diversify its economy, it risks long-term decline. Number 4. Ukraine. Ukraine is facing one of the most severe crises in modern European history. The war with Russia, which began in 2022, has devastated the country's economy, infrastructure, and population. Entire cities have been reduced to rubble, millions of people have fled their homes, and businesses have shut down. Even before the war, Ukraine struggled with corruption, slow economic growth, and political instability. Now, the situation has worsened to an extreme level. The war has led to a complete collapse of Ukraine's economy. Before the conflict, Ukraine had a strong agricultural sector and was known as the breadbasket of Europe, due to its wheat exports. However, after the invasion, the economy shrank drastically, making it one of the worst economic declines in modern history. The country is now heavily dependent on foreign aid from the US, the European Union, and the International Monetary Fund. A large portion of Ukraine's budget is being spent on military expenses, which is not sustainable in the long run. Even if the war ends, the country will need hundreds of billions of dollars to rebuild its destroyed infrastructure, industries, and homes. Mass migration is another significant challenge. Since the war began, millions of Ukrainians have left the country, seeking refuge in Poland, Germany, and other European nations. Many of those who have fled are young professionals, skilled workers, and students who might never return. This brain drain is weakening Ukraine's future workforce and reducing its chances of economic recovery. Families have been torn apart, and a generation of children is growing up displaced from their homeland. The destruction of cities has left entire regions uninhabitable. Key industries, including steel production and manufacturing, have been disrupted. The energy sector has also been badly affected, with power plants and infrastructure targeted during the war. Blackouts and energy shortages have become common, further crippling the economy. Farmers have struggled to maintain their production, as fields have been destroyed by conflict, and exports have been blocked due to the war in the Black Sea. Even before the war, Ukraine had a long history of political instability. Corruption has been a major issue, with oligarchs controlling large portions of the economy and government. Now, with the war ongoing, governance has become even more difficult. The country has introduced strict military laws, limiting freedoms in the name of national security. Elections have been delayed, and uncertainty about Ukraine's future leadership remains a concern. Despite all these challenges, Ukraine continues to resist, with strong support from Western allies. Billions of dollars in weapons and humanitarian aid have helped sustain the country's defense and economy. However, the long-term future remains uncertain. If the war continues, Ukraine's recovery could take decades. Even if peace is achieved, rebuilding will be a massive challenge. The question remains, will Ukraine be able to rebuild and thrive again, or will the war leave a permanent mark on the nation's future? So our last country is United Kingdom. Once considered one of Europe's strongest economies, the United Kingdom has faced serious challenges since Brexit. The decision to leave the European Union in 2016 led to disruptions in trade, labor shortages, and economic instability. Many international businesses moved their headquarters to European cities like Paris and Frankfurt to stay within the EU market, reducing foreign investment in the UK. The country's exports have also suffered due to new trade barriers, leading to higher prices for goods and services. One of the biggest struggles for the UK has been the cost of living crisis. Inflation has surged, with food, energy, and housing prices rising rapidly. Many British households are struggling to afford daily necessities, and wages have not kept up with these increasing costs. Energy bills, in particular, have reached record highs, forcing millions of people to cut back on spending. The National Health Service, once one of the UK's greatest strengths, is now in crisis. Budget cuts, staff shortages, and an aging population have placed immense pressure on the system, leading to long waiting times for medical treatment and staff strikes demanding better pay. The housing market is another major concern. In cities like London, rent prices have skyrocketed, making it difficult for young professionals and low-income families to afford a decent home. Homelessness has increased, and more people are relying on food banks to survive. Politically, the UK has seen instability with multiple prime ministers resigning in a short period. Frequent leadership changes have made it difficult to implement strong economic policies, and the uncertainty has weakened investor confidence. The country's international influence has also declined. Once a dominant global power, the UK now struggles to maintain the same level of authority in world affairs as it did before Brexit. Despite these challenges, the UK still has a strong economy compared to many nations, but unless it finds solutions to its economic and political problems, its decline could continue. The question remains, can the UK recover and restore its position, or will it continue to struggle in the coming decades? These 5 European countries, Italy, Greece, Spain, Ukraine, and the United Kingdom, are facing serious economic, political, and social challenges. While some, like Spain and Italy, might still recover, others, like Ukraine, have a much tougher road ahead. Do you think these countries will be able to bounce back, or is their decline inevitable? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more informative videos on global issues.